So recently I was scrolling through YouTube watching some videos, and in one of them I simply just happened to notice that the person making the video was using Safari. Now, while I don't remember what that video was, the fact that they were using Safari kind of stuck with me. I mean, I've never used Safari as my main web browser. I mean, I've pretty much used Google Chrome my entire life post 2008 at least. Before that, I think I started on like Internet Explorer, went on Firefox for a while, that was pretty good. And I did try Safari for a little while. I remember in 2012 when I got my iPod Touch. That came pre-installed with Safari, so I used that for a little while. However, I've never used Safari as my main web browser. So over the past week, I've been doing just that. I decided to entirely switch over everything to Safari and just see what happens. Okay, so the first reason I was interested in trying this out is, of course, because I am a digital minimalist. Now, if you know anything about digital minimalism, pretentious name aside, it's actually pretty simple. One of the key components of digital minimalism is centralizing your apps wherever possible. And seeing as I use an iPhone and an iPad Pro as my other devices, as well as that computer there as my main computer, I definitely considered that there would be some advantages to me using Safari on all these devices. Another reason I was personally interested in checking out Safari is because finally it supports 4K video. Better late than never. Seriously, that took way too long. Honestly though, now that 4K is supported on Safari, it is a viable option for me. Before, when it was just 1080p, I wouldn't have considered it. In fact, I had the option to switch a little while ago. Decided not to in the end because 1080p video in 2020, not really a fan. So yeah, that was another thing I was pretty interested in. The final reason for me wanting to check out Safari now was, to be honest, just pure interest. I always like expanding my technology experience by trying out new ways of doing tasks that I might have already been comfortable in, whether that be listening to music or browsing the web. And now if somebody asks me what web browser I recommend, I've got one more option to choose from. Alright, so those are the reasons why I was interested in switching, but how did it go? So the first thing that I really liked about switching to Safari was the interface. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like the interface on Google Chrome. However, something about the other apps that I use, like the Notes app or the Finder, just means that Safari feels right at home on both my computer and my mobile devices. I love this minimal approach to the browser, so you're not really wasting any space. And while certain muscle memory tasks like creating new windows may take a little while to adjust to, because I personally do use a lot of stock Apple apps, getting used to it was much quicker than I thought it was gonna be. Staying on the topic of interface, something else that I really liked about Safari was just how good the gestures were. Now, granted, I do mostly use Apple devices, as I said before. However, I don't actually use any Apple hardware with my iMac at the moment. I mean, I use this MX Master and a wired mechanical keyboard that I don't want to unplug, so it's there. And this considered, even still, Safari feels like one of the most intuitive web browsers I've ever used. Of course, there is other little things in the interface like being able to hover over a tab and seeing what's on the tab without actually clicking it. Awesome feature. Seriously, I think that might be one of my favorite features ever. Moving on, we have some performance features, and who could talk about switching from Chrome to any other browser without, of course, first mentioning the RAM consumption. So it's common knowledge now that Chrome does use a lot of your RAM, and despite my machine having a hefty amount of RAM, often when I'm working on more intense videos that need like After Effects compositions, Premiere files, and I still need to look something up on the internet, it can come in handy in these situations. Now, to be honest, this isn't a massive factor. This usually only happens to me about like once a week, but still, it is nice. I've also noticed that at least on my machines, Safari does seem to start up a bit faster than Chrome generally would. What this means, of course, is a nice little bit of time saving whenever I go to start my day, but also just keeping your devices nice and snappy. Definitely one way to improve your user experience. Up next, we're going to be talking about by far my favorite feature, especially as a digital minimalist. I personally love the way the handoff feature works. For example, say I'm browsing something on my phone. For example, I could have ordered one of those swivel scissor stands for my microphone, and it could have kept sliding off my desk. So I could, of course, be looking for a solution on my phone, get to my desk, open up Safari, and then carry on right from where I left off, literally with one click. That is awesome. And of course, this works backwards as well. I mean, I could have something really important on my browser, and because I left my house in a rush, I forgot to transfer it to my phone. I can then bring up the frankly excellent app cycler, just scroll to the bottom and then open that tab immediately. I always personally find that keeping my digital life centralized around one series of apps per device is often the best way to keep things neat and tidy, as well as the fact that it helps me stay organized so I lose less work and can just get more done more efficiently. Alright, so now that we talked about what I like about the Safari experience, we're going to be talking about the things that I might not like so much. Starting out with the fact that, as I said, up until recently, 4K video wasn't supported on Safari. And while it is now, if you try to load up something higher resolution, such as like an 8K YouTube video, it still won't load, which does kind of suck. Now, being totally honest, I rarely ever watch videos in anything over 4K, and so I haven't really had this issue, but it is still a little bit annoying that Apple took so long to catch up to 4K video on Safari, and when they did, they didn't fully catch up. That said, I have only tried this on YouTube so far. Vimeo might work a treat, but realistically, this test was supposed to reflect what I do regularly, and watching high-resolution Vimeo videos really isn't on that list. That said, I probably will get around to trying it eventually. However, all I've tried so far is a couple of 8K YouTube videos, and neither of them went past 4K. Next up, we're getting back to the interface because, of course, Safari giveth and Safari taketh away. So I've kind of curbed my addiction over the last few years, but as you can tell, I used to be a really big fan of the bookmarks feature on Chrome. I love the fact that you could just have them in a toolbar above your main browsing page, and I think this part of the interface was a really useful feature. As I personally viewed bookmarks as kind of like a watch later list, I have quite a few old favorites that are very much cluttering my interface. Of course, this means that I now have a ton of old favorites to delete if I want to switch to Safari permanently, which is not gonna be a fun few hours. Seriously, like 4 years ago, I used to bookmark so much stuff. Now, of course, there is the possibility of the reading list, but I actually don't know when Apple added this. And seeing as I said before, this list of favorites does seem to be important from my old Chrome bookmarks, definitely not an ideal system. Finally, at least for the negatives, there are, of course, significantly less options as far as extensions go than there would be with Google Chrome. The Chrome store is full of some really cool extensions that can help improve your life, and if you're somebody who makes use of these, Safari probably isn't for you. Thankfully, I barely ever use any extensions. In fact, I think all the extensions I did use actually have those technologies built into Safari. So me personally, not too bothered by this. However, some options for customization would have been nice. I mean, being able to change your background and like theme colors would have been super nice, and honestly, this is more of a deal for me than the extensions, but regardless, not too bothered. Alright, so now that we looked at both sides of my Safari experience, am I staying on Safari? Well, at least for now, probably. Keyword for now, though. One day Safari might seriously annoy me. I might want to start watching more 8K videos, which is unlikely. And all these things considered, it certainly hasn't been all smooth sailing switching over to Safari. That said, features like handoff from my other devices and the better performance with my machines make Safari a very compelling option for me. And if you're in a similar situation, maybe check it out for yourself. I spilled water all over my jumper. Hold on. Perfect. There we go. Can't even tell. Forgot what we were talking about now. Oh yeah, should you check out Safari? I mean, as I said before, if you're in a similar situation to me, it might be worth checking it out. Or don't. I mean, realistically, it is up to you. I personally think a browser choice is very personal. That said, I have definitely had a lot of fun trying out this new one over the past week or so, and hopefully, I'll stay enjoying it a little while longer. Alright guys, so that's it for today. Let me know, by the way, which browser you guys use with a comment. I always like reading your comments. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, then smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.